Part of it. So last time, Shawn, thank you again for being here. We talked about the uncontrolled experiment of social media on our kids.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to kind of like dig into that a little bit deeper. Like what happens, when that system fails? What do you think the repeatable protocols are for when the system breaks and inevitably we drop back into that Conan brain state? Do you want to just kind of explain what that Conan brain is
Yeah.
and then talk about like the social media impact like on our kids and all that?
Yeah. So, we have two brains in our heads. There's a limbic system and there's prefrontal cortex. Yeah, yeah, and I like to call these the Conan brain and the Sherlock Holmes brain. And so the Conan brain is like the Conan the Barbarian brain. If you know who Conan the
Mm,
Barbarian is, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger's very first major character, right? And
yeah.
he's enormous and he's fierce and he, fights thousands of enemies and emerges victorious. I mean, he's a fighter, but he's not much of a thinker, right? He's just
Mm,
reacting, and that's the way that your Conan brain is. It it can't derive meaning. It can only do stuff, and it thinks that emotions are real. It thinks that if it feels anger, then anger exists. The Sherlock Holmes brain is the thinking part of your brain. It's the thing that actually makes us human. It's the thing that distinguishes us from dogs. And
mm,
and it allows us to reason. It allows us to understand that your anger isn't a thing out there in the world. Nothing is making you angry. You are choosing to be angry as a result of certain stimulus. And that is there's an important distinction there. And that means that you can choose you can the anger itself, for example, doesn't if it doesn't have reality, if it's not a real thing, all it is a signal. It's saying something there. I'm not happy about this thing that's happening. And you can inspect that signal. You go, why do I feel that way? Or why do I feel sad? Or why do I feel, and then the more you do that, the more nuanced you get about understanding the different shades of the Conan brain feels like, oh, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm hungry,
mm,
I'm, what it's five different things. It's very rough, but the Sherlock Holmes brain can understand nuance there. And so, well, I'm feeling a combination of angry and ashamed and
mm.
defensive about this thing. What would the ball? And you could think through why. And so, as an adult human, it's very important to remain in your Sherlock Holmes brain, and that's one of the things that distinguishes real adults, from children, even children who happen to be in adult-sized bodies, is the ability to remain composed and the ability to remain in your Sherlock Holmes brain and not have reactions and not necessarily have reactions that you don't control.
Mm,
And so part of, basically, if you think through what the overall mission of parenthood is, what are you trying to do with your kids? You're trying to allow them to thrive in the world as adults.
mm.
What does that mean? Well, that means that you have to teach them to use their prefrontal cortex. By the way, they don't have one. It's not fully developed until they're 25 or 28 or 30. It happens later in boys than it does in girls.
Wow.
And so you have to somehow teach them to use this muscle that they don't even have. It's like
Mm.
it's like imagine, trying to teach someone to do bicep curls and they don't have biceps. Like they just have these nothing biceps. And they don't even
Yeah.
have access to them. And so, but by the time they have the biceps, they better be able to use them. Otherwise, it causes problems later in life. And so, yeah, I mean, and I think that going back to the comment about social media, it creates this kind of false. It's like social. So television is to real life experience as junk food is to health food, right? Like
Mm,
real life experience is the wholesome version of what you get by vicariously witnessing something through like television or movies. Social media
yeah.
is a whole other step again in that same direction, where it is even junk food compared to junk food.
Mm,
And so like we're just when I say that we're doing this uncontrolled experiment on our kids, like there has never been a generation of humans that has had access to this kind of thing, and we have no idea what it does to their brains, and there's no reason to think it's good. Certainly no one's trying to make it good, and it's not in the interest of the social media companies themselves to make it good. They're just trying to get eyeballs on screens. If they, like, literally, if Facebook could press a button and make it impossible for people to look away from their screens, they would. And
mhm.
then they would have to solve the problem of, oh, okay, now they're not looking away from their screens and they're dying because they're walking off of cliffs. Oh, well, we'll put a
Yeah.
we'll put a cliff monitor in their phone, right? And then that's how they would solve that problem, as opposed to
Yeah.
like that's not good for people to be staring at the screens all day long.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'll keep going, sorry.
no, I mean that's what I meant when I was talking about the uncontrolled experiment.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome, and I agree with you, man. These companies don't care about us. They definitely don't care about our kids. They just want the more eyes, the more money, the more whatever on their
Yeah, and by
product,
the way,
and so it's
they
very
shouldn't care.
yeah,
We shouldn't expect them to care. That's
yeah,
not their role.
right,
Their role
right,
is to create value for shareholders. They have a very specific
right,
mission. Like, and we need to trust them to do that mission and nothing else, because that is
yeah.
really all they're doing. And but it's not
That's a good
evil
point.
and it's not good. Just like a knife is not evil or good, and you can use it to prepare dinner and you can use it to kill somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
It-
That's a good
right?
point. Yeah. So we can't rely as parents, we can't rely on that those protocols, those safeguards, those whatever
Because
they
they don't
supposedly
exist,
are
right?
putting into
Yeah. I
play.
mean, yeah,
Right.
and the reassuring tones that we get from the executives at Facebook um aren't action. They're not. I mean, and there's real harm that's being done to kids, and we're finding that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's crazy. And then so I want to get into the Sherlock. So we talked about the Sherlock Holmes protocol and the Conan Brain, but beyond counting to 3, what's your immediate recovery protocol from when you kind of lose it with
Man,
your kids or maybe even your spouse? My wife and I just had this kind of like spat tonight, and we're just like, I don't know, like I always handle this differently. Usually I walk away and like because I don't want to say something that I don't want to like regret, and
yeah,
I kind of do that with my kids too. So,
yeah.
like, how do you repair that with your son and daughter, or even your spouse after you kind of lose your cool, go into that Conan brain? Because I just was there like probably an hour ago, and I'm now like trying to get back into the
I've
into the
been there, man.
Sherlock
Yeah, I've
Holmes.
been there. And
Yeah,
well, and so
yeah,
the first thing you just have to realize is you're gonna mess it up all the time. Nobody is
yeah,
preternaturally good at this. Um, the second thing
yeah.
is, what's the opportunity here, right? Oh man, I just blew up on my kid.
Mm,
What's the opportunity here? Well, the opportunity is to model how you repair from that. And I do this all the time, and I talk
mm,
to I tell this story all the time, where I am by nature a very laid back, easygoing guy. I don't get mad very easily. Very, very rarely do I even get barely mad, until my kids came around. And my
mm.
kids figured out how to push my buttons before they were
Yeah,
6 days old. And I would just flash instantly angry. And there's a reason for that, I think. And the reason for it is that I'm responsible for their well being. And if they're crying about something and I don't know what it is, then it means I'm a failure as a parent to me,
mm,
deep down. That being the feeling of being a failure is very challenging to my self image. And I'm going to
yeah,
resist that. And it's going to make me that's one of the things that happen. You get mad. You get this cognitive dissonance of, no, I am a success in life, and a success in life can't fail at this thing, this very important thing. And so you get this
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance, and so you get mad at the messenger, and the messenger is the crying baby. So that's my analysis of what's happening in my own brain at that moment. And
Yeah, no, that
yeah,
makes total
and,
sense.
and so I mean, it's that way with your spouse too. There's a similar kind of analysis that can happen.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, yeah, so it's like, okay, so what can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is you can recognize, well, that's not who I want to be. And so if you ever find yourself like getting really, really angry, and then yeah, it's you got to do whatever you can do to remove yourself from that situation. And it's okay to walk away. It's okay to like, okay, I need some space here. Like we're like man, we're really at each other's throats. We shouldn't be. We're a team.
Mhm.
So like come back to that first principle there, and then and then allow yourself to reset, and then come back to it, and take a breath. The Sherlock Holmes brain is slow. So and the Conan brain is fast. And um and so allow the slow brain to catch up to what's going on. There's been a lot of input
Yeah.
here. There's a lot going on. Their emotions are high. Why am I feeling this way? And the same is true. Imagine your spouse is screaming at you at the top of her lungs, and you're sitting there perfectly calm. Somehow, magically, you are just sitting there perfectly calm. What would you do? You would say, "Okay, take a deep breath, back up.
Yeah.
Why? What is making you feel so angry and challenged right now? I mean, this is
Mhm.
what's going on, and how can I help you?" Well,
Yeah.
you owe yourself that same grace, right? So that's the first thing. And then so remove yourself from the situation. Now, you can either remove yourself, or in the case of kids, you can remove them too. You can send them to their room. And we do like there's a book called 1, 2, 3 Magic, which was really, really helpful in my case, especially. Um and the whole thing, and it's about what the author calls stop behavior. So stuff you're trying to get them to stop doing.
Mhm.
Um, you count. They're I don't know, whatever. I can't even think of something right now. The most recent thing I counted with is, my daughter was being very, very, very kind of intentionally whiny. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, listen, we can't have this. You're being very, very whiny right now, and I need you to take a deep breath, and I need you to speak to me in a normal voice. She's only 4, so
Mhm.
it's hard. It's hard. Um, and if you don't, I'm going to count. And if I get to 3, you're going to your room for 4 minutes. It's 1 minute per year of age. And she whines. She always like, and immediately, always the response that you're going to get from that is a whine. Is they're going to test your authority at that point. They're going to see every single time. Happens every single time. In fact, they'll do it twice probably. That's why it's 3. And you say that's 1. And then they'll do it again. That's 2. And then oftentimes they'll do it a third time just to see if you're actually going to take them to their room. And when you
Mhm.
do, they're going to throw an absolute fit. But you do it,
Mhm.
and you set a timer, and then 4 minutes later, you're saying, "Okay, are you relaxed? Are you calm? Are you ready to rejoin the household?"
Yeah.
And and oftentimes the answer is no. I blah blah. Okay, well, when you are, you're welcome to come back, and then you close the door and walk back, and then you come back
Yeah.
in a minute or two later. Hey, how you feeling, babe? You feel calmer and relaxed, or can I help you? Do you want to take some deep breaths together, or what do you want to do? And so,
Mhm.
like, the whole point of that exercise, it's not to punish them for doing something. Like there's another kind of um like there's a philosophy about, we're going to put them in timeout. And timeout is kind of a punishment. Okay, you're going in timeout, and timeout is a
Yeah.
pun. And then when we're done with timeout, we're going to have a we're going to have a discussion about what you did wrong and how we should have done the. I mean, it makes sense. That's actually a reasonable philosophy in my view. Like, if it
Yeah.
works for you, great, do that. Um, the 1, 2, 3 thing is not about them, it's about you. It's about getting them away from you so that they don't trigger you into a place where you're like screaming and yelling and saying, God damn it, Reese, stop blah, 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 blah," and in a place where you don't want to be as a parent. So it gives you a mechanism to keep yourself from going apeshit. And
Yeah.
and that's the magic of it. Right? It's not. And by the way, I mean, they get like it's good to give them. You're just getting space from each other. And this is true. It works. Like, you have to adapt it if you're out in public and stuff like that. Like, okay, you're in the grocery store and they start, screaming and yelling because they want a freaking toy or something like that. This is one of the specific examples they cover in the book. And, okay, I'm going to count to three.
Right.
And if you get to three, you go to the car and you leave your shopping cart in the middle of the store or wherever
Yeah.
you need to. And then you come back and you go to the car for 4 minutes and then you go back. I mean, the book is
Yeah.
excellent. I recommend it to anybody, especially people, and it works all the way until they're adults. This is
Wow.
just how we handle. Like we don't. You just have to recognize that it's not. I used to play a reasonably high level of beach volleyball,
Mm.
and most players, especially at the level that I played with, not kind of the elite level, but somewhere below that, um, when they get angry and they're playing, and this is true. I'm sure this is true in bowling too, and it's certainly true in golf and everything. You think, oh, I'm angry. I'm gonna embrace that, and I'm gonna play angry, and I'm gonna use the anger to fuel my meteor. Right? I mean, like there's this myth that when you're playing angry, you're playing well. And the fact is, you're not ever. There is nobody that plays well angry. And you can show me all the examples you want, and I will prove to you that they're not playing well compared to how they're playing when they're calm and collected, and they're so much more effective.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
same is true in all of your interpersonal reactions too. There is just nothing to be gained from yelling. There is nothing to be gained from screaming. I mean, it's just like, we should have a household where there's no yelling. Like, shouldn't this be a place of sanctuary and peace? We come
Yeah.
home and it's quiet and there's no anger and there's no like anger and yelling and consternation and all of these things feel pathological. Like,
Mm.
just like if you threw up in the middle of the floor and there was a puddle of vomit, you would clean it up and you would
Yeah.
get rid of it. It stinks. It is unsightly. It's
Mhm.
unhygienic. It's bad. And yet we'll allow our household to fill with screaming and anger and yelling and all those things. Like, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. There's
once you sort of realize, okay, well, so I like, no, we just don't yell in our family at each other in anger. We can yell in happiness. We can yell in feigned anger because we're
mm.
playing a game. And how could you possibly put
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hotels on boardwalk and bankrupt? That's fine,
Yeah. Yeah.
but but we don't yell at each other. And then once you adopt that principle, you're like, okay, well, shoot, man. I mean, this is going to be tough. We do a lot of yelling at each other. What are we going to do? What are our mechanisms to be able to live these values? Isn't that a reasonable value? Like, shouldn't we all be able to
Yeah.
agree that it's never appropriate to scream at each other in our family? Like, can't we? I mean, so if you approach
Yeah.
it from that standpoint, then all right, now we're a team and we're fighting against the thing. It's you and me against the thing, which is the dynamic that we have where we scream at each other. Now, what are we going to do? What's the mechanism that we're going to do to prevent us from yelling at each other? Okay, let's I don't know, let's have a code word. Our code word is going to be casserole. And if anybody says casserole or colander or something you don't normally say, then
Yeah.
it's timeout. Back up. Okay, there's no more talking. for 2 minutes. For 2 minutes, we don't talk if anybody says casserole. And anytime you start getting mad, I'm making this up as I go along. Literally, I'm making this up as I go along. But but I don't know. Whatever works with us, right? And but once you adopt the principle, and then you agree on the principle, then it's a lot easier. And then now you're on the same side of the problem. Okay, now we're a team, and we're both attacking the problem. Now all of a sudden it's way easier to solve. As opposed to, no, 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 it's
Yeah.
me and I want this thing and you, and we're against each other, and I'm yelling at you because I want whatever to have you do the dishes more or better or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's I love how you put that. And so you're a tech executive, so you're building a household operational system. You and your wife, you're all pedal to the metal, right? Like you work in those 4-hour blocks, getting stuff done, you handle the overflow. But when a work emergency clashes with your child's needs,
Hmm.
what does that look like with when your calendar goes off script? That happens with me a lot. I have sick kids a lot. I have a 2 and a
Uh,
5-year-old. So sickness is one of those things that happens, it seems like every other week.
yeah,
And it's right now dad's unemployed, so dad is me, the one
yeah,
that's taking that on. And but I'm also trying to build podcasts. I have other side ventures and all this
yeah,
stuff, so I'm not working technically, but I'm
yeah.
working
But you're working a
just
lot
probably
for
more
someone
than
who
I was
doesn't have a job.
working.
I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And applying and all that stuff that comes with it. So like
yeah,
it's like I kind of like, oh man, I gotta, kind of like take a backseat to this again. So how does it work when your household, with your spouse and yourself, and kind of being as busy as you are? You mentioned you just got back from India. I think that's what you said, right? India.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then doing all this stuff that you do, like how do you manage it? You have young kids as well, so how do you manage that
yeah,
in your household?
yeah. I once and um I once read something that was very, very helpful in this regard. And that was that nobody can have more than one greedy job.
Mm,
Okay. What's that mean? What's a greedy job? A greedy job is one that you don't get to clock out of, meaning that you don't really control your schedule. It could call you at 8 o'clock in the morning. It could call you at 5 o'clock in the morning. It could call you at 9 o'clock at night. And you have to do it. You have to do the thing. You have to respond. And nobody can have more than one greedy job, which seems like a tautology. You can't have two jobs that can both call you at 9 o'clock at night and have you respond because you can only respond to one of those things. So if your professional job is going to be a greedy job, then you can only have one of those. And the second thing is that having children, being the primary caregiver of children is a greedy job.
mm,
Okay. So what's that mean?
yeah.
That means that if you also have a career and you are the primary caregiver of your children, that career cannot be a greedy job. It means you have to be able to clock out. It means you have to be able to set boundaries. And you have to say, no, at 5 o'clock, I have to leave and go pick up the kids from daycare. That's just what I do.
Mhm,
It doesn't mean you can't have a job. It means that you have to have you need to be able to set those boundaries. Now, okay, well, so what is that? How do you deal with that with your spouse? It means that one of you has to be the primary caregivers at all times. You always have to have one primary caregiver. Okay, well, so one easy way to do that is one person is going to be the primary caregiver, and the other person is going to have their job, their profession be their greedy job. And so you each have one greedy job. One of them is the parent, and one of the primary parent, and the other one is the whatever the lawyer or the tech executive, and then that's how you deal with that. Well, okay, does that mean that one of you doesn't get to follow your career ambitions? No, there's a couple of ways to solve that problem. But once you understand the principle that you can only ever have one greedy job at a time. Maybe we say, okay, you're the primary caregiver on Mondays. I'm the primary caregiver on Tuesdays, and we alternate. Okay, that might work. I don't know. Um, Maybe what you do, a lot of people. a lot of dual, like really successful dual households that often comes with financial remuneration. And so they use that money to hire help for their kids. Essentially, what they're doing is outsourcing the job, the greedy job of primary caregiver. That can work. Now,
Mhm.
that has drawbacks too. It means that you're really not spending that much time with your kids necessarily, unless you're really doing an excellent job of creating space for you to go to the things, and your greedy job tends to take up all your time. And so
Yeah.
what we ended up settling on, my wife is an attorney, and
Mm.
um and a good successful attorney, but we settled on her um her greedy job being the primary caregiver. And we
Mm.
tried some other ways for a while, and they weren't working out very well. It was difficult for her to be the lawyer kind of lawyer she wanted to be, and also the kind of mom she wanted to be. And so we had a lot of soul searching to do to figure out how to balance those worlds. And that means that she has to have boundaries in her professional life that allow her to be the primary caregiver. Now, does that mean that she has to do everything, pick up the kids every day, all that stuff? No, I actually have a really flexible schedule and I can do a lot of those things. But it means that the
Mm.
monkey's on her back. The responsibility is hers. And
Yeah.
if I need to do something, she's welcome to ask me. And I will say yes whenever I can. Now that creates problems too, because she has to she doesn't want to ask. She doesn't want to put me out. She doesn't want to, and like, even if I'm available, she she doesn't feel like she can actually ask necessarily. And so that can create and that could create some problems, because she will then not ask me, or she will ask me and then I'll ask some questions, some clarifying questions, and then, oh, well, can I, oh, well, when are you going to be home, and is there any way that we'll be able to put the kids down to you? I'm really tired too, and all that stuff, and that feels to her like resistance, like I'm not willing to do the thing. And then she's like, fine, I'll just do it myself. No, that's not the answer, because now you're going to build resentment at me because I wasn't willing to help in this circumstance. But I am willing to help in this circumstance. So like, that's not good. And so, like, the bottom line here is, this is hard. There is no easy answer. And, you know, even back when it was obvious that the man was going to be the financial provider, and he was going to be, go out and he was going to be in the workplace, and that was going to be his greedy job, and the mom stayed home and took care of the kids. Even back then, even if you magically had one of these wonderful lives in suburbia and all that stuff, that could be arranged that way, that was no freaking paradise either. So the answer is, it's hard for everybody. It helps if you can distill the principles down. And frankly, I don't know that my method or our method is any more successful than anything anybody else has come up with either. But we have to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I'm really proud of what we've managed to do with respect to our children, because our children rock. Our children are great. They're smart. They're happy. They, I found, oh man, this is so much fun. I have it right here. This is this is my son's composition notebook from from last year, and he was in first grade. And I never saw this. It's something
Yeah.
they worked on only at school, and it was in his backpack. And we found it when we cleaned out his backpack for him to go to school on Monday. And he has stuff in here like, um, let me, okay. So here's an example page right here. So you got a little
Okay.
drawing on the
Yeah.
top, and then you have a
Love it.
story down below. And he
Uh-huh.
writes, "This weekend I went snowboarding. At the house, we got in the hot tub. I went to Mammoth. It was a great weekend." And this is the kind of stuff that's in here. And he's like, and it's just like, he's writing stuff like, I have a great life. And you
Yeah.
know what? Whatever is going on with your kids, if they are in their private moments at school when they're not expecting their dad to read their thing and they're writing stuff like, I have a great life, you know what? You're doing a pretty freaking good job. You can, you could,
Yeah.
you can look in the mirror and go, yeah, I think things are all right here. And as much consternation and as much angst that we feel about all this stuff, you know, at the end of the story, that's really what you're pushing for.
Yeah, no, that's a great example, and I love how you went through that and looked at that because I love when my daughter brings home stuff like she's not quite that age yet. She's
Yeah.
5, so
Yeah.
she just started to kind of do. She's
Yeah.
not doing sentences, but she'll do words, and
Yeah.
so but the
That's
picture
amazing.
really will describe, yeah, the stuff, the fun stuff we do on the weekends or whatever. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, like I feel that way too. Kids really make me feel like that they give that special aura off of like, hey, everything's okay in life, everything's peaches and green, everything's great, everything's wonderful. Because I think that, like, as an adult, I just felt like, ever since I've been an adult, I felt very cynical and jaded, and
It's
kind of
hard.
just like, oh, like, yeah, like the life beats me down in a sense. But kids like kind of do the opposite with me mostly.
Yeah.
Besides when I go to the Conan Brain, you kind of lose myself. But
Right. Right.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like if I'm in the right Sherlock Brain thinking, and like for sure, the kids they're
Yeah.
keeping me in a better space, mental space. And so I want to get into a little bit about like the failing, your kids failing. How do you let them, like, how much do you let them fail before you step up and help them? It's kind of like when they're riding their bike, they first started to ride their bike, like, are you there like holding them the whole time, or you just kind of let them fall a couple times? Or I know it kind of like goes across different areas of life, but I just, I'm trying to think about that boundary of like,
Yeah.
how how do we establish that, like, we want them to be independent, we want them to be their own people, but we also want to be there for them, and those kind of contradict each other
Yeah.
at certain times. So how do you do that with your young kids as well?
Yeah. So, again, I'm trying to distill it down into a philosophy, right? So there's a couple of competing things here. There's three that I can think of that come off the top of my head. And Frank, I'm gonna caveat all this by saying that I don't think that I'm doing a particularly good job at this necessarily. And I'll explain that in a minute. But the first principle is, well, in some ways, I think I'm doing a great job, and in some ways, I'm not. The first principle is no permanent damage, which
Mm.
means that if they're going to do something and they're going to get injured, okay, like I'm going to warn them that they're going to get injured.
Yeah.
But as long as they're not risking permanent damage, okay, so and disfigurement or scars
Yeah.
or
That's my
like
kids jumping
crippling
off the
injuries.
couch.
Yeah, your kid jumping off the
I
couch.
warn them all the time. They're not
Right,
gonna like get
right.
seriously hurt, but
Yeah,
they'll get hurt.
right. You
Yeah.
keep doing that, you're going to end up hurting yourself. And
Right.
but it's your body. If you are going to hurt it, and I'm going to keep you from hurting it in a way that you can't heal from, but you can hurt yourself. I remember
Yeah.
when my son was in kindergarten, I I got this call from his teacher, and she was very, very serious. And she said, I need to talk to you about something that happened today with Lake. And I said, okay. She says, today, him and one of his friends, um, I, they were slapping themselves in the face hard enough to leave a mark. It was very, very hard. And then they were slapping themselves. I said, okay, they were slapping each other or they were just slapping themselves. They were just slapping themselves. Okay. So I said, thanks for letting me know. And I picked up Lake from school that day. And we were walking home. And I said, hey, by the way, your teacher called today. Really? Yeah. And she told me that you and your friend were slapping yourselves in the face. And he goes, yeah, yeah. So they were in kindergarten. And yeah, me and Dennis, we were having trouble memorizing the spelling words. So we thought, well, here's how we'll make it so that we'll memorize the words. We'll just whenever we get something wrong, we'll slap ourselves in the face, and that will teach us to learn the words better. And I was like, okay, I mean that's pretty ingenious. Like I
Yeah.
can't fault you for that. That's actually really good. And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, huh. Well, here's the thing. And by the way, he's got this real fair complexion, very sensitive skin. And so, like, just like, I'll give him a kiss on the cheek and it will leave like a red mark. So
Mm,
hitting himself hard enough to leave a mark is, this would be hard enough for him to leave a mark. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how hard he was hitting
yeah.
himself, but it was probably pretty hard. And I said to him, I said, listen, it's your body and you can do what you want with it within reason.
Mm.
However, if people see you slap yourself in the face, it freaks them out. And you probably don't want to be freaking people out. And he goes,
Yeah.
hmm, okay,
That's a good
I'll
point.
just do it at home then. All right. And that's the way we left it. Now, he didn't end up slapping himself in the face all that much. And it turns out that he has had a spelling test every week since he was in kindergarten. And he's all the way through first grade now. And he's gotten one question wrong on one spelling test in his entire life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, maybe it worked.
There you
The
go.
the
You're
the
gonna
the
see
face
him on the
slap.
spelling bee.
But yeah, and
Yeah.
so like, but when it comes to things like riding a bike, um, I really want my son to be able to ride a bike. He can't because he doesn't care.
Mm,
He doesn't. He
yeah.
it's not of interest to him. And if it's not of interest to him, I'm not going to force it on him. I'm try to convince him, hey, this is something that's important to know how to do. Hey, look at your buddy over there. He can do it. All but so
Yeah.
the principle that I have there is I am here for you when you're ready to do this thing. I think it's important, and when you're ready to do it, I'm here, and we will crush it together. Just let me know. But if you're not ready to do it, then we don't have to do it.
Yeah.
As a result, I'm sort of letting him drive the car and I'm not actually forcing him to do stuff that I know is good for him, like learning how to ride a bike. But that is difficult. And I struggle with it because I know that when he is a good bike rider, he'll be proud of that and he'll be glad that he's doing that. But I don't know that he'll ever get over the mountain there. And so I struggle with
Yeah.
that. Maybe I just need to convince him more, or maybe I just need to put my foot down. I go, dude, it's time for you to learn it. You got to know how to. By the time you're 10, and maybe that's the way to go. Actually, maybe that's the way to go. Okay, we don't have to learn how to ride a bike today, but by the time you turn 10, we need to learn how to ride a bike. Cool?
Mm,
Are we in agreement?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what if it's not 10? What is it? 16, 20, 30? What? At some
Yeah.
point, you need to learn how to ride a bike, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What age do you want? How about 9? I mean, that feels forever. Okay, fine.
It
By the time you're
does
9,
when they're
you need
that
to learn.
young. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, whatever it is, right? And so, I don't know. Maybe that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I think that's a good approach. Yeah, give them the time to be interested in it.
Yeah.
But they will. I think they will. They'll have that interest once their friends at school are riding
Probably.
bikes. Once they're like, yeah, they'll be like, oh, I need to ride a bike too, or
Yeah.
like I want to go to Tommy's house and I need to get there on a bike. I don't want to, I don't have to. I can't walk. It's too far. Or whatever. Like
Yeah.
whatever situation comes up, like they're gonna want to ride
Yeah.
bikes
Yeah. He's
eventually
going to
because
have a
their friends
friend
are
that is
doing
able
it. Yeah,
to
yeah.
ride his bike to the grocery store.
That's how it was with me
And,
in driving. It
right.
was like I didn't want to drive. I didn't want to get my license, but then my friends all got it. And
Yeah.
then I was like, okay, I'm going to be the outcast loser if I don't. So I have,
That's so
like
foreign to
that's
me.
kind of how I thought.
that's so foreign to me because for me, driving was this freedom, this independence that I couldn't have any other way.
Mm,
And so
yeah.
I wanted to drive the instant. I mean, you can get a learner's permit when you're 15, and I
Yeah.
basically
Oh,
did it
wow.
that day. And
Wow.
it's just like, and then I hear about kids these days who are like, I don't need to drive. And they can Uber
Yeah.
places that, I mean, I don't know. They're
Yeah,
just
yeah, it was different, yeah,
yeah,
but, yeah, I guess I was just, like, a little I don't know if I was intimidated by it or I don't know. I
no,
guess I was I'll be honest, like, I was pretty immature. I feel
mm,
like I kind of I was young for my grade, like, I'm a June birthday, so, like, I was always one of the youngest kids in the class, and I felt like maybe that was
yeah,
attributing to that, but I don't know, like, I just was a little bit behind in terms of, maturity levels, so I just was like, "I don't know if I'm, like, ready for this," kinda
yeah,
thing, and then once my friends all got it, I was like, "Okay, like, I got
yeah.
to
Same thing
get
happened to
out
me.
there and do
Yeah,
it."
well, and the
Yeah,
thing is, boys mature more slowly than girls. And so
yeah.
by putting you in a grade, like, your parents would have done you a really big favor by waiting 1 more year to put you in school.
Mm, yeah, I think they mentioned that too. It's like,
Really big favor.
um, they're probably listening right now, but
By
yeah,
the way, which
yeah, like,
by the way, like, I'm not saying it was a mistake not to. They would have done you a
yeah,
really,
yeah,
but and who's how are they supposed to know? By the way, it's also hard. Like,
no,
dude, you're at home. Your mom can't work or whatever.
right,
Yeah, I mean, what
right,
are we gonna
right,
do for
right.
another year? Like, I need to get
Yeah,
rid of
we've
this kid
contemplated
and put
that.
him somewhere where he's busy during the day so that I can get stuff done. Like, it's
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm having
it's
that
hard.
same thing with my daughter because she's actually a later birthday. She's late July, and she
Okay.
just started kindergarten, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're going through the same thing. But her teachers all, I mean, they're always saying she's smart and she's top of the class kind of
Well,
thing. But
girls
she's on the
mature
spectrum
faster.
too, so it's
Uh,
different. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, she's a little bit. Yeah, she's a wild card because we've never had, you know, obviously she's our firstborn, but she's on the spectrum too. So we're like not really even sure how to proceed with that. Teachers are saying they're not even recognizing the signs, so we're thinking like she's just sort of displaying more of that at home where she's comfortable. And you know when she's in a social environment, she blends in well with the other
Great.
kids where it's like
That's
they don't
great. It might
recognize it.
mean
Which
that,
yeah,
she's in this
she's
kind of
yeah
sweet spot where it could be a superpower
yeah
for her without having
yeah
too many
that's
of
what
the
I'm
drawbacks.
yeah That's what I'm thinking too. It's this quirkiness of like she's just so like she'll say the craziest stuff and it's just like, "Oh my god, like I can't believe you just
That's
said
so
that,
fun.
honey." Like yeah, like it's such a fun age. Like I love this, you know, you have a daughter that's 4 and you know, mine just turned 5 and so I think that this age is like just the coolest cuz it's like they, you know, she can tell me stuff and we can talk about stuff and like she's I don't know, she's just in her own little world, but it's like, man, sometimes I want to be in my own little adult world because I think that sometimes my world is just not as fun or not as cool as hers is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hey man, I wanted to touch on like while we're still here, the because we talked about social media and we talked about like where this is going, but now that we like AI is kind of taking over and like I've seen some stuff where there's like AI toys and adaptive learning apps and things that are really starting to learn the behaviors of ourselves and then like that's kind of becoming like a consumer item for our kids. Like what do you like where do you think this is going? Are you kind of like a wait and see with the adaptation with the new tech, or are you like, oh no, like let's
Man,
let's not go into that? I mean,
that's
I'm
such
just
a
kind of
difficult
curious, you know,
question.
how you handle that.
That's
Yeah.
such a difficult question. And at heart, I'm a techno optimist. I have
Right.
experienced some really, really major technological advancements that I think have changed the world in balance in ways that are so, so amazingly good. Amazingly good. But that doesn't mean there aren't costs and that doesn't mean there aren't drawbacks. And we should do what we can to mitigate those.
Mm.
And AI is unbelievable. AI, and I'm a technology guy. And the first time I went to Chat GPT and told it to tell me the story of Little Red Riding Hood, but as a pirate, and it did that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fathom how such a thing was possible. And it is like magic. And now I understand it a little bit more, and I've seen its limitations, and
Mhm.
so it seems a little bit more accessible now to me. But gosh, it's amazing. I worry about I worry about technology becoming a replacement for
Mm.
real human connection. It is a low friction version. You can have a relationship with a chatbot that is a very low friction the chatbots are eager to please and will say that you're amazing no matter what you say, and all of these things. It's a very low friction thing, and that's not the way real relationships are. Real relationships are hard but valuable, and I worry about anything that looks like that tries to mimic human relationships. I think is that's a real problem. I think that's dragons are there. Not that that sort of thing
Yeah.
can't be used for good. Um, people who are at the end of their life, or people who, I mean, I can imagine that by the time I get to the place where I'm at the end of my life, there will be a corpus of a bunch of material that I could put into an AI where I might be able to, like, my personality and my might persist past when I'm gone from this world. And if I
Yeah.
could have an AI version of my mom right now
Yeah.
to ask her
I'd go for that,
questions,
right?
would I
Yeah.
want that? I don't know. I'd love to be able to say no to it, frankly.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
is it healthy? I don't know.
Yeah.
So deep down, I'm a techno optimist,
I
but I am really
yeah.
concerned about certain aspects of it.
Yeah, no, I too. I embrace technology. I've worked remotely for 10 years, so like obviously
Mm,
I'm into every every tech thing that comes out. I'm like, I gotta try this, I
yeah,
gotta do this. And so I wanna embrace it. And yeah, when I first tried Chat GPT, I think it was like math equations, and I'm like, whoa, this can just spit it out like real fast.
right,
Like back in the day, you'd have to go on a forum and you'd have to have someone answer it, and
right,
you'd wait hours for the kind of like, okay, how do we, and now it's just
yeah.
like that, or writing papers, like even because I was in higher education, so it's like I saw that from the students, how they could just spit out essays in 2 seconds,
Spit
and
out essay.
beforehand you'd have
Yeah,
to, yeah, you'd have to go on those sites and have someone write it for you for the cheating aspects, or do it yourself like the old school way,
yeah.
but
Or you actually write the paper. I'm
yeah.
this freaking chump who actually wrote his own papers. I feel like an idiot.
I know, I did too. I graduated from, grad school in 2015, and yeah, ChatGPT was not a thing then. So
Nope.
I guess it kind of, in some way validates my education, but in some
Yeah,
ways it kind of makes me like, oh man, like I actually had to do the grunt work of all this stuff, and things were a little bit harder back then. And I remember the first Britannica, is it Britannica? Like the CDs of like how you got all the information,
yeah,
from the computer. It was
yeah.
like pre, it wasn't pre-internet, but it was like where internet wasn't really like that accessible, or you had like 24 hours a month to use and split across the household or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, man, it was a different age of like researching and writing papers and doing schoolwork, and now it's just like, man, like they have more technology on their little, phones or tablets than, we even,
Could dream of.
could
Yeah,
fathom. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, so it's just crazy, but yeah, I'm just, yeah, I don't know where it's going either, man. I hope it's being used for good, but yeah, I could just
Yeah,
see.
I mean, and it will
Yeah, we
be,
talk
and it
yeah.
will also be used
Yeah.
for not good. And,
Yeah.
we owe it to ourselves as a society to disambiguate those things and get rid of the not good stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
Yeah.
watch my son. He plays Minecraft a lot,
Yeah.
and he watches a lot of Minecraft content on the various stuff. And but what he can do in that game, what he can build in Minecraft, is staggering.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I could imagine doing it. I could imagine being able to do it, but I couldn't build what he builds.
Mhm.
I couldn't really.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't envision it, and it's really
Yeah.
good. It's really good.
Yeah. It's yeah,
So
Minecraft's one of those things. I'm sorry, I was just gonna say when I was a teacher, I remember, and this was back in like 2012 or so. I remember kids playing Minecraft and just being like super addicted at it, and just like this immersive world. And I taught Minecraft clubs after school and stuff, and like kids love it. And
yeah,
yeah, it is really crazy to see all the worlds they can build, and the imagine. It really just puts your creativity at,
yeah,
like on display of like, hey, you can do whatever you want in this imaginative world. And
yeah.
have this and
What are you
that
gonna
and
do?
interact with different things. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like almost like virtual Lego, like, back in the day, like that's how Legos were for me. It was like, okay, I could build my own little city
yeah,
and have my little people and like
yep,
talk to each other. But yeah, and now it's like this virtual way. I love
yeah.
Minecraft personally. I think it's super cool. My daughter, I just got her a Nintendo 64, and we're playing like games, and it's like, because I was back
Oh,
in
I
my,
love that.
for my day. Yeah, and like so, she's like, "Oh, is this Minecraft graphic?" Because the graphics like totally look like Minecraft because they're all like
They sure do.
pixelated and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And
How
I'm like, "No,
funny.
hon, this is just how it is." Like she's been playing Mario, but yeah, like it's cool to see like her creativity and her excitement and like enthusiasm for games and stuff like that. Because I don't know, like the people that are like, "Oh, no games or no TV," like it's just hard for me because like I grew up with games myself. I grew up with
Same here.
TV. I
I'm
love
such a
tech.
gamer.
It's like it's hard to like get away from that, and I don't want to like completely. So I think it's cool to see her grow up on stuff, especially that I was playing at 9, 10 years old, and like now she's 5 and she's into it. And so I don't know, it's kind of like one of those proud dad moments. What do you like when you look at Lake for like in particular? What do you hope that he carries forward from you? And then like what's one thing you hope that like he kind of either breaks free from or maybe like improves on? And if this is too personal, please you don't have to delve into it. But this is just one thing I was curious. Like I guess like what's your kind of legacy for him? Like what do you want him to kind of like kind of carry on in your legacy if you are this AI uh being someday. we're,
Right.
we're we're remembering Shawn Dawson as this AI being or whatever happens to us when we're gone. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what do you think, like what do you hope he carries on from you? And what's one thing that you kind of hope he improves upon um from you?
I don't know. I don't know that I have a perfect answer for this.
Yeah, it's a strange
But
question, so I'll
well,
give you
yeah, no,
that.
but it's an excellent question because it really um it's difficult.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you what comes to mind, and it's the same answer for both things, strangely enough. It is that there's this great Alanis Morissette song, and it's actually it's Lakes in my favorite rock song is what we call that, and we listen to it together sometimes. It reminds me of him, um, but
Oh,
it's called
nice.
Ablaze, and there's the lyric, the kind of main lyric in that song is she says, "My mission is to keep the light in your eyes ablaze," and the fact is that the world is coming for the light in his eyes. The
Yeah.
world is coming to put it out. And in a lot of ways, I act in ways to put it out, right? My reflex is to shut him down or to not let him experience the kind of the joy that he wants to experience.
Yeah.
And but it's my job to keep the light in his eyes ablaze, to keep that fire inside and not let the world extinguish it and certainly not extinguish it myself. And I think, you know, I think for myself, in a lot of ways I did a good job of keeping the light in my own eyes ablaze. But in a lot of ways I didn't. In a lot of ways I let it die. And I I want for him to be very clear-eyed about the kind of life that he wants for himself. I want that to be a practical and inspired, intelligent decision. I don't want him to, want to be a fairy god princess and fly around on gossamer wings, because those things are impossible. But
Yeah.
I want him to lead his life with joy and with excellence and with a fire and a passion that is infectious. And that that's what I want. I bring some of that to the table. And I'm both an enemy to that, and I'm also an ally to that. And so that's what I want from him. And I want it for my
Yeah,
daughter too.
that's yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to leave her out, but I was like more particular because you're the raising men, raising your podcast, the Raising Men podcast, and you're
Yeah.
the I was just trying to go with that theme of
Yeah.
that,
No,
but
no, no. Yeah,
that's a great,
absolutely.
that's a beautiful
Absolutely. And,
answer.
and someday there will be
Yeah,
a Raising Women podcast.
there you go, there you go.
She's not quite reached the age where I think that makes a lot of sense yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, and the challenges for boys and the challenges for girls are really different.
yeah,
And and I feel like the challenges for young boys are a little bit more pressing. Um, but I'll tell you, my daughter was in daycare, and she was getting hassled at daycare by one of her the fellow daycare girls, and she was getting shamed for the way her body looks.
yeah,
And as a result, she became very shy and she was covering up her body, and she didn't want anyone to see her naked, and which by the way is fine, like, but she's 3 years
yeah,
old, and we have to change her diaper and stuff like that. And the way that she was responding to this stuff wasn't healthy. She didn't want to wear shorts because she felt her legs were too big. I mean, she was getting body image issues at 3 years old, man.
oh my god,
Like, that wasn't a risk for my son. Right. And
right,
so
right, right,
I mean, just these challenges are, and it was happening because there was a girl in her little daycare group that was kind of jealous of her or whatever, and was making comments, and she was getting the same kind of
hmm
comments from her older sister, and her older sister was getting it from their mom. And so it's just like, man, I mean, what are you?
The girls are catty. I just went to the
Yeah.
jump park with my daughter, and like my daughter would not repeat this. Like she
Yeah.
told me that this girl came up to her and called her a little, like I saw them arguing, right? So I went up to my daughter. I'm like, what happened? Because I can't follow her up all the
Right.
obstacles, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
40. Like I'm trying, but I can't keep up with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, my daughter said that she called her a little bitch, and I was like, wait, what? Like
What?
that, the cattiness of, yeah, it was like a little 5 or 6 year old girl or something, and like my daughter would not use that language, so I know that that's actually what was said, because she
Yeah.
would not repeat. That's not the kind of language we
Yeah.
use in our house. And so
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. So like that girl, I went up to her and I approached her and I was like, are we being friends with each other? Are we saying nice, like that kind of thing? I was trying to like kind of scare her straight, but in a way that was like, not
Right.
going to get her parents all, up in arms at me.
Right.
But I was just like, I can't believe that, you know, like my 5-year-old daughter with autism is being called the B word, kind of just playing out in the open. And they weren't even like doing anything like to her. Like it was just it's
Man,
just the
girls are ugly.
cattiness of girls
Yeah.
is just, yeah, like I'm already seeing that too. And it's just like, thankfully my
Why?
daughter didn't really like, she didn't really like, it didn't affect her too much, but I could see how that would be like, oh my God, like at 5 you're already dealing with being called, names, and like
Yeah.
people hating on you, kind of in a sense. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's unfortunate. It's a tough world, but yeah, like we can't protect him from it all. And even though I was there, it still happened. Like it's still
Right.
something I couldn't protect her from. So,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
think we
All
kind
you
of
can do is
addressed
prepare
it.
them.
And Yeah, yeah, we addressed it and we did the best that we can. Shawn, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. The whole hour, and then we talked 15 minutes before that. And can you tell us about the Raising Men podcast, how it's kind of grown over the years, like where you're at on the socials, the
Yeah,
website, so
yeah.
people can follow you, keep informed with all that's going on in the world of Shawn Dawson.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So the podcast is called Raising Men, and our URL is just raising.men. And we're on all the socials at Raising Men underscore podcast. You can search for us on YouTube, Raising Men, Shawn Dawson, Raising Men podcast. We'll get you there. Raising Men podcast, Shawn Dawson. We'll get you there. But yeah, at Raising Men podcast. And, or you can reach out to us at podcast at raising.men. You can email me, and I'd love to hear from people. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just have to say this because I said this on the first episode. We did an episode earlier. If you're just you're watching this and you haven't watched that first one, you need to go watch that one. But yeah, you just have the best radio voice, and I know you talked about like
So
your
kind of you
father
to
was
say, man.
a broadcaster, and
Yeah,
all that. But no, man, you do, and so I'm a fan. I try to listen when I can. Obviously subscribing to the YouTube channel of you, but
yeah,
yeah, man, I'm a fan from a side, but also like I appreciate you, doing this live stream and kind of working it out. Like, you never really know what to expect on this. I'm gonna edit this up and make it into a more cohesive, seamless episode, probably release on Sunday. But yeah, man, I just appreciate you, kind of your openness to do this, and obviously giving me an opportunity as a younger podcaster in
yeah,
May when I was just kind of like getting my feet under me, because it was a little, I'll be honest, I remember like when you first came on, I was a little apprehensive to have somebody come on that was a podcaster. Like I remember when I first started, because I was like, I don't feel like a podcaster, like
yeah,
that was my
yeah.
feeling. It was like
Oh
this
man, is this
very
guy going to
much
see what a fraud
yeah.
I am? And
Yeah, it
and
did it did it did
it
feel like
turns out we're
that.
all frauds.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it worked out okay. Like you were nice, you didn't judge me, you came
You
back
did a
for a second. So
fantastic
I
job, man,
appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate
and
that, man.
I mean,
And
I
it's
love
like,
what you're up to also, and,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
anytime you want me to come on, I'm
Dude,
thrilled to be
yeah,
here. I
let's do
love
it
our
again. Let's
conversation.
do it again.